I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have to do this again. I don't enjoy showing you guys new GPUs that are just impossible to find, let alone for MSRP. But here we are again. RTX 3080 Ti. Haven't even opened the box. The embargo for this thing lifts tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So I literally have like a few hours to get this video up. And usually I don't start these videos off or even like do unboxings of GPU within GPU reviews. But I figured I would do it for this one because most of you guys aren't gonna be able to unbox one of these ever in your lifetime anyway. Feels bad, man. No, I'm not saying that as a dig. I'm just saying it as a statement of truth because that's just how it's been. I know I'm making you all very nervous right now as I open this box. There are gonna be maybe a couple of you, a few of you lucky few. What am I saying right now? Some of you may be able to get your hands on one of these. So I don't want to deprive those few people of, you know, data, benchmarks, trying to inform their purchasing decision. So I'm still gonna do a video for those people, which, you know, could be you. But wait, what the heck? Oh shoot, I did not realize they sent me two. No wait, one of them is probably the 3070 Ti. I thought the box was a little heavy. I just assumed they were only gonna give me one. So here's the 3080 Ti and here's the 3070 Ti. Okay, well, I didn't even know that they were sending me this, so I'm not gonna touch that card today. We're just gonna focus on the 3080 Ti today. It's really funny. They didn't tell me a 3070 Ti was coming too. They just talked about the 3080 Ti. So it's their fault. It's not my fault for waiting till the day before embargo lift to open up the shipping box. Come on. It feels so stupid and pointless to rattle off the MSRPs of these cards, but I feel like it's just something that I have to do. If not only so that you know how much you're overpaying for one, should you ever have the opportunity to pull the trigger on one. So here's the card. Looks exactly the same as a 3080, except it's got that Ti on the end. Not Ti, it's not 3080 Ti, it's Ti. Anyone who says otherwise can come fight me, which is probably the whole staff at Nvidia, but I don't care. So here's the card, yay. We're gonna put this on the test bed right now. So I actually started benchmarking the comparison cards. So this is an RTX 3090. I don't have a 3090 FE, so we're using this ridiculously overbuilt Supreme from MSI. So bear that in mind as we run the benchmarks. This is factory OC'd pretty heavily. Running stock, of course, as are the other cards. And then I'm gonna be testing it against the 3080 as well. I already did the testing for both of these actually. So I'm ready to just plug this sucker in, install some drivers, and get going. Hold on, I had to put the camera down for a second. He's a big boy. There's a couple obvious reasons as to why the existence of this card is so silly and stupid. The first of which being is that people already can't find the existing cards. Like any of the 3000 series GPUs, any of AMD's new stuff, even like older GPUs are ridiculously overpriced or just impossible to find right now globally. So it begs the question, why do we need another graphics card that 99% of the population isn't gonna be able to get? And even if they do get it, they're gonna be paying out the rear for it. I mean, the MSRP on this is what, $1199? Haha, good luck paying anything less than $2,000 for one of these, honestly. The other reason why this product makes little sense is because it's a stopgap between the RTX 3080 and the RTX 3090, which the performance between these two cards is already very similar. So I have no idea why Nvidia thinks it's necessary that we have another midpoint between those two cards. The only thing I can really think of for Nvidia is, well, maybe we can make more money with it. I mean, that's always the incentive, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, Nvidia knows that people will buy this GPU for ridiculous sums of money. You know, it's using the same GPU, the same die as the RTX 3080, but if it was just branded as a 3080, sold for 3080 prices, Nvidia is probably going, whoa, hold on. Why don't we just like crank it up a notch, put a Ti at the end, and people will pay even more for this already overpriced card. I hate the world and everything in it. At the very least, let's just hope it works. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for not being DOA. At the very least, you've managed to make my life a little less of a living hell right now, but screw you for everything else. All right, let me install some drivers. Downloads. Driver. Game ready. Game ready driver version 466.50. Was there ever a driver version that was 420.69? So this is what my computer looks like when drivers are installing. Okay, drivers installed. Yay. All right, we can now begin testing. Usually takes me about 2 to 3 hours to test a single card, and I'm doing three cards, so I've already racked up about 6 hours or so of benchmarking. I got about 3 more to go. Then I gotta finish shooting this video. Well, I'm kind of shooting it as I go along, and then I gotta edit it, which is probably gonna be another 3-4 hours. I'll probably barely get to post this video just in time for 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Not the first time this has happened, but it is what it is. See what I sacrifice for the 3 of you who will get one of these cards? You're welcome. I'm gonna benchmark Ashes of the Singularity first. I've logged 60 hours in this game. I don't even know what it's about. Ashes of the Singularity, the game we all know but no one plays. What is Ashes? 178 seconds is how long the run is, if I remember correctly. So we'll just punch that into fraps, and oh shit, it's already going. Gotta start that over. I like Ashes as a benchmark because it's one of the lengthier runs, so it means I can actually like walk away for a second and do other stuff, reply to an email, post an Instagram story or whatever the hell. The really short ones are the worst. The ones that are like 60 seconds, 45 seconds. It's like long enough to make you bored while you're just sitting there waiting for it to finish, but not long enough for you to actually do anything else. It's bullshit. Just look at them go. What are they fighting about? This is what World War III is gonna look like, except it's gonna be between bots, gamers, scalpers, and miners. Highway to the danger zone. Could you imagine being on Molly during this war? It would be awesome. Okay, just finished all the runs of Ashes of the Singularity, and check this out, this is pretty interesting. So these are all of our results for the RTX 3080 FE, RTX 3080 Ti FE, and 3090 Supreme. This is at 1440p, and look at this. The average FPS of the 3080 Ti was actually right on par with the 3090, if not a little bit faster. I mean, that could be margin of error, but this is after 3 runs per test. Obviously, the 3080 is trailing behind a little bit, but then you go over to 4K, and the 3080 Ti pulls well ahead of the 3090, and well ahead of the 3080 as well. So now I'm wondering, did Nvidia make the 3080 Ti faster, at least a faster gaming GPU than the 3090? Because I wasn't expecting that. Let's run the next test. Far Cry 5, let's go. Far Cry 5 is one of those really short, annoying benchmarks. It's like 60 seconds long, I think. So I'm just gonna sit here and wait, pretend like I'm having a good time. No, the scenery is actually pretty nice. I like the floating camera in the sky. Everything just looks so peaceful, getting blown up from afar. It's like you wouldn't even realize this beautiful place is run by a sociopathic cult. Look at this graph, just the crazy highs and lows it goes through. Oh, that's a big dip. That's what my Social Blade profile looks like right now. All right, Far Cry 5 numbers are in, and this is definitely more in line with what I was expecting from this card. So you can see here it's positioned pretty much squarely in between 3080 and 3090, much closer to the 3090, honestly. And then again, like 1 FPS off here and here. Could be margin of error, but pretty much on par with the 3090, not beating it outright like it was in Ashes. And then at 4K, that was 1440. 4K, this is definitely more of a midpoint between the two GPUs on either side, with an average FPS of 107 and a 1% low of 90. This is definitely more expected. I don't know. It remains to be seen though whether the Ashes results were just a one-off, but we'll see. We'll see which way this leans after we test a few more games. Borderlands 3. I like this benchmark. Even though it's short and annoying, it's still kind of fun. Get some little Easter eggs in here. Like check out these guys. They're having a party. A gender reveal party. Look at that guy. He's just vibing. These must be $1 million homes because they're all made out of wood. Look at this dude. Is he salsa dancing? What's happening? You wanna know the biggest difference between Borderlands 2 and 3? The 3. It's exactly the same game. Now I'm just waiting for someone to take that comment way too seriously and send me death threats. All right, I'm running the Division 2 next. I'm just gonna do all the testing, run all the games before I show you guys any more data. That way I'm not going back and forth constantly, which can get kind of annoying. So sit tight. I'm gonna finish this off, and we'll be right back. All right, testing's done. Did all the benchmarks, went pretty smoothly. The card's actually been running fine, no issues. But instead of actually making bar graphs, I'm just gonna show you guys the numbers on the spreadsheet because it's easier, it's gonna save me hours. It's already almost midnight, and I really wanna try to get this video up before the embargo lifts. So hopefully you're cool with just good old-fashioned numbers, even if they're not represented by fun, whimsical bar graphs. Let's start with clock speed. The RTX 3080 Founders Edition hit a max core clock frequency of 1980 megahertz. The RTX 3080 Ti hit 1950, which makes sense. Usually the faster cards have a slightly lower frequency. And then we have the RTX 3090 at 1995 megahertz, which negates the statement I literally just made, but that's because, again, it's factory overclocked from MSI. It's the only aftermarket card here, so it got a pretty nice bump on the core clock. Obviously, I didn't do any overclocking today, but I'm pretty confident the 3080 Ti can hit over 2 gigahertz if you wanted to push it, assuming that you had proper cooling in place, because we've already seen the 3080 and the 3090 hit beyond 2 gigahertz with some simple overclocks as well. For the power draw test, I ran the Division 2 benchmark at 4K. It's about a 90-second run. I was monitoring the kilowatt the whole time, and these are the maximum values. Full system draw from the wall. So RTX 3080 pulled 550 watts, 3080 Ti at 572. not a whole lot more. And then the MSI RTX 3090 Supreme at a whopping $727. Remember, this is an aftermarket card with triple 8-pin power plugs, and it's about the size of my leg. But if you were so lucky to have an RTX 3080 Ti in a future build, I'd probably recommend at least a 750 watt unit to be safe, assuming that you might want to do some overclocking. You always want to account for variance. There could be, you know, power spikes here and there, and at 572, you're getting just a little too close for a 600, or I would say even a 650 watt unit. So better make it 750. Thermals. For this test, I made each of the cards run through 3 3D Mark tests, including Firestrike Ultra, Time Spy, and Port Royal. And these are the maximum values for each. RTX 30 hit a max of 77.5 C, RTX 3080 Ti very similarly at 77.3, virtually the same as the 3080, and then our RTX 3090 at 81.2. Which, I don't know. I mean, as we just saw, this card's an absolute power hog, but it also has a massive aftermarket cooler on it, so I was kind of expecting slightly better temps from the Supreme here. Moving on to performance though, I'm just gonna give you a whole shot of our 3D Mark scores with Firestrike Ultra here. You can see that the RTX 3080 Ti pretty much falls right in between the 3090 and the 3080 as we expected this whole time. In Firestrike Ultra, the RTX 3080 scored about 11,000, with the 3080 Ti at around 12,000, and then the 3090 got 13,000. Time Spy, very similar story, 16.3 on the 3080, 17.4 on the 3080 Ti, and 18.3 on the 3090. And lastly, with Port Royal, the RTX 3080 scored around 11,000, 3080 Ti around 12,500, and 3090 at around 13,500. Now for a second there, I entertained the possibility that the 3080 Ti could have been made slightly faster as a gaming GPU than the RTX 3090 initially, because the 3090 isn't really branded as a gaming-centric GPU, but after running the rest of the game tests, that definitely doesn't seem to be the case. So as we already saw with Ashes and Far Cry, you kind of already know the numbers there. We'll start off with, where do we leave off? Borderlands 3 then. So you can see here with that 1440p 3080 Ti was right smack in the middle between the two cards. 115 for the RTX 3080, we're talking about average frame rate here. 3080 got 115, 3080 Ti was 126, and 3090 at 130, and the 1% lows kind of fall in line with that as well, with the 3080 Ti being slightly closer, or actually much closer to the 3090 than the 3080. Similarly, at 4K, the 3080 Ti was right in the middle again, scoring an average FPS of 76 and a 1% low of 62. That's compared to the RTX 3090's scores of 81 and 66 respectively, and the RTX 3080 score of 68 and 57. The trend pretty much continues in the Division 2, with the 3080 scoring 115 FPS on average, 3080 Ti at 125, and 130 for the 3090. Interestingly enough, the 3080 Ti had slightly higher 1% lows here, so those 1% frame times are actually looking pretty good. At 4K, nothing new here either. RTX 3080 at 68 FPS on average, 3080 Ti at 75, and RTX 3090 at 80. I also tested Control, and at 1440p, the RTX 3090 scored an average FPS of 121 and a 1% low of 99. RTX 3080 was 109 on average and 90 at 1%, with the RTX 3090 on the high end, of course, at 129 FPS on average and 1% low of 105. Moving over to 4K, the RTX 3080 had a 1% low of 49 and average FPS of 57 versus the 3080 Ti of 54 and 63 FPS respectively, and the RTX 3090 scores of 58 at the 1% and 68 as the average. The last game I tested was Dirt 5. So at 1440p, the RTX 3090 came out on top once again with a 1% low of 103 FPS and an average of 121. RTX 3080 Ti with a 1% low of 97 and an average FPS of 114. And the RTX 3080 had a 1% low of 88 FPS and an average of 105. And moving on to 4K, the RTX 3090 had a 1% low of 73 and an average FPS of 85, whereas the RTX 3080 Ti had a 1% low of 68 and an average FPS of 78, sorry, and the RTX 3080 scored 63 with its 1% low and 72 frames per second on average. I do apologize for vomiting out all those numbers onto your face when I could have just read you these ones and you would have gotten the whole picture a lot faster. These are all the compiled results, so all the frames rendered between all 6 games, just taken as a total, and here are the performance percentages of each card, with the RTX 3080 being our 100% frame of reference here. So at 1440p, if the RTX 3080 rendered 693 frames on average, then the RTX 3080 Ti rendered 742 frames, giving us a 7% bump in overall gaming performance over the RTX 3080 non-TI, with the RTX 3090 scoring 766, or I should say rendering 766 frames, giving us an 11% bump over the RTX 3080. And like I said, this is really what we've been expecting the whole time, is for the RTX 3080 Ti to fill that already small stopgap between the 3080 and 3090 that most would argue doesn't really need to be filled. For what it's worth, there you go. And the same thing rings true at 4K. The RTX 3080 Ti was just 9% faster than the 3080, and the 3090 was about 14% faster than the 3080. So again, 3080 Ti, right in the middle. Why? I do not know. I feel like these launches have become so underwhelming and boring and pointless for so many reasons. I mean, at first it was just kind of like the availability and the pricing thing. It's still that, but even if these cards were available and they weren't being price gouged like crazy, what is the point of the RTX 3080 Ti being 7 to 9% faster than the RTX 3080? Unless you need slightly more VRAM, which the RTX 3080 Ti does have over the 3080, I can't really make a solid case for it, because the amount of money, let's just assume in pretend land that MSRP is a thing that exists and, you know, is somewhat abided by. Who's gonna pay $1,199 for a 3080 Ti if you can buy a 3080 for several $100s less than that? Is the 9% gain at 4K really worth that much to anyone? So this is just a stupid launch. It's as stupid as everyone thought it would be. I hate to feel bad about being right, but I do. I can't even imagine what you guys must be thinking right now. So let me know. I mean, I'm sure you already have taken the liberty of exploring the comment section and leaving some feedback. I'd love to hear all about your frustration about this launch and the whole landscape of the market in general, just so we can all have this sort of cathartic moment and at least be in pain and frustration together. Yes, I'm saying that from a pretty privileged spot right now because I have all these cards and stuff. It's what I do for a living. But I still feel for all of you gamers out there who just want to build a freaking gaming PC or upgrade your old GPU, and you simply can't. And to make matters worse, they're everywhere. They're simultaneously all around. They're on your screen, they're being advertised, they're being marketed, you know, they're on the social media pages and stuff, but you can't actually physically get one. It's like torture, you know? So I get that and I feel for you guys. But anyway, thanks for watching this. I know it was a random, different kind of video for a review, but if you liked it, toss a like. Also check out bitwit.tech. We've got premium Bitwit hoodie. Look at how dope this hoodie is. You've seen this hoodie, right? Look at the patch. Look at how sick that patch is. Pick up a hoodie, pick up one of our new hats. They're all really high quality and a great way to help support the channel, what we do here at Bitwit. Till next time, guys, subscribe if you haven't yet for more tech content on the way, and I will see y'all in the next one. The RTX 3080 Ti, it's made of paper. Always has been.